In the last video, we learned how to set up an automated webinar so we could have a steady stream of real estate leads on autopilot, something that is evergreen, working for us 24/7. In this video, I'm gonna show you how to get those leads from your webinar platform into your CRM with a tool called Zapier. And what we're gonna do is the moment they register, they'll be automatically imported. When they show up to watch the webinar, maybe they don't show up or they watch only a part of it, or maybe they watch the replay. All of those things will be tagged and noted in your CRM with this helpful tool called Zapier. So if you want to learn how to do this and automate this even further, keep watching. Hey everybody, it's me, Jacob Shireman, your real estate marketing expert. I have over 15 years of marketing experience specializing in web design and SEO, and I take that experience to help you grow your real estate business. So if you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel, give this video a like, and hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new content. And if you want to get my resources, training, courses, and coaching for free at no extra cost or split to you, take a look at partnering with me at eXp Realty inside the Agent Wolfpack. And there's a link below where you can book a call to learn more. So let's dive into today's topic. So in my last video, I showed you how to set up a complete webinar using the platform EasyWebinar. I think it's one of the better platforms out there. Plus it's very cost effective, very easy to use. That's why I choose it. I like to make my life easier. So if you haven't watched that video, go ahead and watch it. But what we're going to do today is once you have your platform set up, you still need those leads to import into your CRM. Now, EasyWebinar and other platforms will automatically integrate with things like MailChimp and Constant Contact. But if you're using a CRM like kvCORE, which is what we're going to be using in our example today, you want to use something like Zapier, because the great thing is the moment they register, you can have that lead created in your database or CRM. But also there's other activities they're going to be doing. You know, whether you have a offer for them to download your buyer's guide to schedule a consult, you can have, if they click that offer, have that automatically updated in your CRM with a tag or a note. If they didn't show up, you could have, a no-show tag. If they showed up, you can have a watch tag. If they showed up for the second time, but not the first time, you can have that tag deleted. So you could constantly have all of their activity updated in your CRM. So you don't have to go back and forth between both tools and doing things manually. So that way you can have everything in one place. And we do this with a great tool called Zapier. If you haven't watched any of my other Zapier videos, every real estate agent should have this. It's very inexpensive. It's about $34 a month. You can get a discount if you buy the whole year. I don't get paid to say this. I'm not an affiliate of Zapier, but it really helps me in my business to save about 30 to 40 hours, probably a week, honestly, with all the tasks that I have, especially with multiple businesses. It just helps with those redundant tasks like lead import. Who wants to wait till the end of the day or into the week to import leads? Because those are leads that are not getting nurtured, and we want them immediately in our database and having some type of action or drip nurturing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen and show you all the key things that you should have to automate this. So that way your EasyWebinar, both your lead import and your webinar lead generation is on full autopilot. All right, so I'm sharing my screen. This is Zapier. You will probably need the starter plan to be able to do this. There is a free plan, but you really don't get that much out of it. I highly recommend you just sign up for the starter plan because you're going to find out that you're going to use it. If you need to learn the basic lingo of Zapier and how it really works, I recommend you go back and look for the playlist of all of my Zapier videos, because it will really help you get an understanding of what a trigger is, what an action is, and all of those things. So, and how you connect applications to this. But it's really simple. When you log in, if you're at the dashboard, you can either create Zap and do it manually, or you can tell that you want to connect this app with this app. So for today, because we did this in our last video, we're going to do EasyWebinar. So you can just type that in the search bar. Now, the app that you want to always start with is the app that is going to trigger the action. So for us, since we're waiting for a registration to come through on EasyWebinar, we want to connect EasyWebinar to our CRM. And I'm going to use kvCORE as the example today, because this is what we get with our brokerage for free and what we use as real estate agents. So remember, since this is the one that we're wanting to get information from and import it to, that's going to be the first application. So it's going to ask you, when do you want this workflow to happen? What is the trigger? So when a new webinar registration happens, then we are going to import the lead. Okay, so now when we have a new webinar registration, what is the action? We're going to create a contact. Okay, and then we're going to say try it, and it'll do that. And then the other things we're going to do here in a minute is tagging. Okay, and the reason why is there's certain tags that happen on certain actions they do, like when they show up to watch the webinar. Okay, so if you're going to do anything, you need to at least minimally do this. Okay, if you don't care whether they showed up and watched it or not, you're going to call them anyways, then you can just do this as well. Now you're going to need to set up your account. So I'm already logged in. I'm not going to show you how to set up because I don't want to reveal my Zapier keys and all of that. And each platform is different. Should be the same process for each platform. So I've already logged into mine. So just follow the step-by-step. They literally give you screenshots on how to log in. It's pretty easy. So we're going to say continue. That's the account we want to use. And then I'm going to select the webinar. So you already need to have the webinar created like we did in the previous video. So I'm going to go buying a home with a VA loan. It's an automated webinar. Make sure you have that. And then we'll say continue. And then we're going to test our trigger. So what it's going to do is it's going to put in pretty much a sample registrant or registree. It's going to put a fake one in there. Okay. So we can make sure that the data entered. Okay. So all this, so you want to delete this after it's done. Once you've completely set up the Zap, and then you can delete it. So we're going to continue with this selected record for a sample. And then we're going to say continue. And now we're moving on to kvCORE. So here, I selected my kvCORE account. I'm going to say continue. And then all we do is we match up the data. It's that simple. So when we come over here, we're going to click in first name. And obviously we want to use, so you can see the EasyWebinar logo. So just make sure you're using this. So whatever the registrant information is, we want to align that with what it needs to go in kvCORE. So obviously we're going to put first name with first name. And then once you click it, you can just click out of it to get rid of it. Lead type. Now, since this is all about buying a home with, a VA loan, obviously they're going to be a buyer lead. If you're doing something on, selling your home for sale by owner seminar or something to get all those sellers to you, obviously you're going to choose seller, or you can choose both. It's not a problem. Or if you don't know, I always just set everybody up on a default buyer. Okay. So last name, obviously we're going to do last name. Email, we're going to do email address. Cell phone, we're going to come down here and choose phone. And then status new. And then form captured. We can say the form capture was VA loan webinar. And then if you want to be even more specific, you can say EasyWebinar. Whatever you want to call that, so you know how they got there. So actually what I would do in this instance is VA loan webinar, and the source was EasyWebinar. Okay. And then you can do secondary source, date registered, and let's see. So we'll scroll down. Webinar date. Nope. Created time is what we want. Okay. And then if you're doing something on a specific city, you can include that, certain price range, all that stuff. But for the most part, I leave this blank. If you have a team account, you want to assign it to a specific agent, go ahead. And here I might just put registered for our buying a home with a VA loan webinar. Attended, registered for webinar on, and then if you want, you can put in the date that they the webinar date. So you can actually put that in. So that's the one they registered for. Put any notes that are going to help you and do that. If you want to do tags, we can do like VA loan. Sorry, you don't do hashtags. VA loan, and then we separate them by a pipe. Okay. We could do VA loan webinar. You can keep spaces as well. So I'll go ahead and do that with this. And then you want to tag people that registered with EasyWebinar, whatever your tags that you want to do your tags. Okay. This is how you're going to be able to search for people and find them. So once you have everything the way you want it, you're going to say continue and then test step. And then once the test is set up and it says it completed, you can go check your kvCORE. I'll know because I'll get an email here in a second, and that's what we'll do. So once it says it was successful, we're going to publish this. And remember, it's not going to run unless you publish it. So then we're going to say publish, and then it's going to prep everything. And there you go. Now, you're definitely going to want to name this. So you can do VA loan EasyWebinar. And then I always do like 2 little dashes and an arrow to kvCORE. Okay. And then since we're going to be doing another one, EasyWebinar registration. Okay. So that way we know that this zap is only when they register, because each thing that we're doing is a different trigger. So this one was the moment they registered, it's going to run that zap. Okay. Now, if you're not using folders, I love folders. I do use this for multiple businesses. That's the great thing, is you don't have to divide it. So if you want to create a folder for, webinars, you can throw those in there as well, so you can keep them separate. Okay. So now we did this one. Now we're capturing all of the people that register. Our next step is going to capture people of the tag that we want to update. So I'm going to show you this once because it's going to be the same step you're going to repeat each time. Now, if you only have 20 zaps and you don't want to run out, I would just do this one, and then I'll show you the next one. So we're going to say create again. If you want to do it easy, just go back to the dashboard. I like this method. And I'll show you the other method so you can do it as well. If you hit create zap, it takes you back to that editor that we were in, and it's still pretty easy. You got to create your trigger and then your action. So your trigger is going to be EasyWebinar. And then we're going to choose the event over here. This is where you're going to edit the trigger action. So now we want to say tagging for a webinar. So anytime a tag updates, we want it to update in our CRM. So webinar, obviously we're going to do the same webinar again. And then we're going to choose the tag. Now, unfortunately, you will have to do a zap for each tag. Okay. So we don't need the registered one. We already know they're registered, right? We want to know, did they come to the webinar? We just want to know if they showed up. This is the one that I think you should do. You can even have it, if they asked a question, put those questions in the notes. I think that's super helpful too. It emails me. So, if you have the zaps to waste, go for it. You can even upgrade your plan. But I think what's important is knowing whether they came or not. So if they didn't come, you can do that one. But if they don't have a tag that they came to the webinar, then we know they didn't come, right? So if you really want to minimize how many zaps you use, I would just go for a came to webinar, and then, which we did. Oops, sorry. And then we're going to say continue. Let's go and test the trigger, test it. And then once it's doing that same example, which is, it's pulling the last example that we added, and then continue. So once that tag has been triggered, what do we want to do next? Well, obviously we need to update kvCORE. So this time for the event, we're going to choose update contact because our contact already exists, right? So we'll say continue. And in the last example too, if the contact already exists, it's just going to do nothing. Okay. So now we just go here. We need to put the email address. Remember, just click out, first name, click out, last name, click it. And you can also search for stuff too. If you don't see the option you want, like here, last name, I could just start typing, sorry, wrong field. Down here, you can type last name, and then it'll search the fields. Okay. So this is how it's going to find the person. And then notes, you can say, lead, or you can put his name. So you can even add the field. Matt attended the webinar on and then you would do attendance date. So maybe we say webinar. Looks like that's the only thing they're giving us. Webinar, attend. Yeah, so these are the only fields they're giving us right now. So basically, just say attended webinar because we already know the date that they registered. So we'll just keep it at that. And then that's it. Say continue. Let's make sure they don't have a tag in here. Log call type, primary address. Yeah, so the only thing we could do is add the note that they attended the webinar. There's no longer the tag fields in here. And then what we'll do is we'll say continue, test step, and now it's going to go update with that message that they attended the webinar, okay? And then we'll say publish. Now, to do this for the other actions, it's the same step, okay, which we'll kind of look at real quick. We'll pretend we're editing. So we want to make sure that this green light's on. So if you want to do the other ones, you're going to create it the same way. Same thing. You're just going to change the tag to, if you want to know if they watched the whole thing, if they left early, they watched the replay. The 3 that I would do, if you can, is came to webinar, and then watched replay, because you're already going to know if they didn't come. And then if they asked a question, I would be putting the questions in the notes. And then what'll happen is every time you have that note, it's just going to show you in the activity part of that as well. So that will be how you do that. So play with this. Remember, you need to name it. So this one, we would say update, watched tag EasyWebinar to kvCORE. Okay. So that, just name it so you know what it is. And then remember, any changes that you make sure you click publish, and you can name the version and put what you changed. Because if you don't do that, even though it's saved, it's saving it as a draft, okay? And then you can come back to the dashboard and see your EasyWebinar registration. So this is how we automate this. If you want this to go to an Excel spreadsheet, you can do the same thing. You would start off with EasyWebinar, and then what you would do in those steps is, like for this registration right here, you could come in here and say, you can add another step. Okay. So let me show you this too. If you don't want EasyWebinar to send any emails for you, which you should, I mean, why wouldn't you? You can add more steps. So once that's done, they've imported the lead, then you can go add an action and say, you know what? I want to add this to a Google Sheet. So you would set up the columns, Google Sheets. So you can do that. You can add that. If you want to send an email, you can come over. If you're using, Gmail, you can send an email. So you can create multiple steps that happen on this workflow. It's just not one. So anything that you need done, maybe you want it in a Sheets and track everything there as well. So you have a backup. You can just go quickly look. Or maybe you're going to share this with the other people that are helping you in the webinar. You can go through and have a Sheets. You just need to go create a first name column, a last name, email, phone, registration date, webinar date, and then, that's it. And then you can have your leads shared with the people that, if you're using a loan officer or to talk about the VA loan or title company, anything like that, you can share your leads that way and share that spreadsheet with them, and they'll see the leads in real time. You can also send an email to somebody. You can create as many actions as you want when this trigger happens, okay? So explore, play around with it. If you have any questions, let me know. All right, so I hope you found that information helpful and easy to set up. I really think you should explore all that you can do with Zapier. Zapier is an amazing tool that is here to save us money, and for little as, like I said, under 35 bucks a month, you can get basically an assistant, a virtual assistant that actually helps you and literally helps eliminate human error as well. So I highly recommend that. If you have any questions about what we went over, drop your questions in the comments below. If there's a topic that you want to see as well, you can drop it down there, and I'll be happy to cover those. If you want to reach out to me and ask a question, my contact information is below as well. And if you're interested in partnering with me to get all of my amazing tools, resources, coaching for free, there is a link below to book a call. It's a no pressure call. I'll show you what your business looks like here at EXP inside the Agent Wolfpack and all of the amazing things that you can do with your business here. So if you want to do that, click the link below to book that call. And again, if you want to stay up to date on the latest real estate marketing and everything you need to know to be a successful real estate agent, make sure you subscribe to my channel, give this video a like, hit that notification bell, and as always, I will see you in the next video.